Now, let's see. Okay. Stop. No. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our program. We are going to be presenting a book called Fractured Hearts. I make sure I can see it well. There you go. Multi-faith words of hope and healing. One of our presenters this evening, or the lead presenter, I should say, would be Rabbi Deb Smith. Just some Zoom etiquette. Please make sure that you are muted. Any questions you can put in the chat, and we will have Q&A after this. Rabbi Deb, I welcome you and your presenters. Please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Jean Marie, and thank you for encouraging me to have this program and to bring this book to you. And the book that we'll be talking about, Fractured Hearts, is the second in my portfolio series of heart books. And the first one, which I did for the library last year, was Words from the Heart. And this was multi-faith poems, prayers, blessings, and stories on the theme of compassion, hope, justice, and mercy. And several of these authors that we'll be talking tonight also participated in the first book. And Fractured Hearts is the sequel to that. And this is Words of Hope and Healing. And there is a third part that will be coming out that the presenters don't even know about. And that will complete the portfolio heart series. So I like to give you a little background on how this series of books actually came to be written. And the focus of my work, I do congregational work, and I have some of my congregants are actually on the call right now. But the focus of my teaching work is in the multi-faith community. And when I was in rabbinical school studying, I was doing some work in the Muslim community and the Christian community. And the founding rabbi of the Jewish Renewal Movement, which is the movement I am with, called me and he said, I'm deploying you to go work out in the multi-faith world and really bring, unity to the different religions and have them, work together in cooperation and bring that message of peace and healing out into the world. And I take him seriously. May he rest in peace. He was an awesome, awesome teacher. He died at the age of 89. His name is a household word in so many thousands of households across the world. And so I continued my journey little by little and have worked to build relationships. And I guess I would call myself a multi-faith activist because that's the work that I do. So in the work that I do out in the community, I am co-chair along with one of our presenters, Shabia Sheikh, who's up there on my right anyway, toward the top. And we teach together and have taught together. We co-lead Sisterhood of Salam Shalom chapter in Morris County together, which we've done for years now. And we bring messages out into the world of teaching about the similarities between our faiths. And so we teach together in this area and also on Zoom for Aleph, the Alliance for Jewish Renewal, where we actually meet, students from all over the world who come and take our classes. And so I started to work in that area and co-chair the Muslim Jewish Solidarity Committee for the county and have tried to do that work and have done work at Drew University in that area as well. And then started to work with the churches and I've been to more church denominations than I can even keep track of at this point, doing work and lecturing and teaching and really dispelling a lot of stereotypes and myths about Jews out in the larger community, which is, I think good work that needs to be done. And so, my teaching comes from the center of a deep ecumenism, where we work from the center of how our faith groups work together, as opposed to looking on the margins of difference. And I think that that's the way we need to work. We need to learn about each other and figure out how we can work together. Even with our closest friends, we can always find the differences between us, but it's much better to find the similarities. And so that's how these books came to being. The first book was launched as the pandemic opened, if you want to call it that, or as the pandemic began. And that was the Words from the Heart book, where we really needed words of compassion, faith, and looking at justice and mercy, and looking at all the divisions in the country and around the world, and how were we going to think about those. And so in that book, I collected 44 authors who contributed about 50 or so pieces. And we have songs and poems, prayers, blessings, and stories in the first volume. And after that came out and we entered into the summer, that came out in, I think, May of last year, or a little right around then, I looked once again at where were we going in the world. And we were going, hopefully, we were turning the corner into a place of healing and hope and what would happen. And so, when I wrote the introduction to the current book, I will just share a paragraph of that with you. And I said, I wonder if I was not accurate at the time, but I said, it has been more than a year and a half since the first death from COVID-19. While we are not at an end to the pandemic, we are so fortunate to now have several new vaccines to better protect us from the most severe effects of the virus. We have been able to come out of the complete social isolation that had become the routine way of living for so many of us. Hopefully, we are heading on a path toward increased healing. Our healing journey will be physical, emotional, political, economic, and environmental. So many areas of our lives have been impacted during this year of illness, death, political upheaval, climate trauma, and violence. Somehow, we will move forward, each of us in our own way and at our own pace, counting and mourning our losses, treasuring our memories of friends and family, and of a lifestyle we may never experience in the same way in the future. And yet we appreciate and are grateful for the many blessings, large and small, that we receive daily. And so from then I went on to talk about the theme of the book, and that I welcomed many repeat contributors as well as new ones. And that's what I'd like to open with this evening. And I have 5 presenters on screen. Currently, I'm missing one, but I do have the others. And I'm going to invite each of them, after I introduce each one, which I'll do one at a time, to talk a little bit about what inspired them to write the piece that they wrote and submitted. Some of them have submitted more than one piece, but if those people would focus on the one that you're going to be reading or performing for us tonight, that would help. So what inspired you to create or write that piece, and what it felt like for you, to have done that. And so I'd like to begin with Amy Fisher. And Amy is an amazing teacher of mindfulness meditation. And she is one of my students, as her bio says. She studied with me for Amy, almost 5 years, probably, in my journey group, my women's journey group. And she is a mindfulness meditation teacher. She teaches meditation virtually via the Smart Fit Health and Wellness community. And she says that her hobbies include photography, nature, music, and spending time with family and friends. I have never met a more positive person. Just breathing Amy's air makes you feel calm in the center of your being. So I think that's the best introduction I can give you. And you have 2 pieces, Amy, and they're both short. So I'm going to ask you to talk about both of them and then share them with us.
Okay, so I spend time walking outside. That's like my physical activity. And I wrote 2 prayers. One of them is called my walking prayer. My intention when I say this prayer, and I could say it more than once while I'm walking, is it just helps me to connect to myself, to nature, and the community at large, and to the universe. So I'll read it to you, and then you could ask any questions or comment however you would like to. So just imagine that you're walking outside and using nice posture, So while I'm walking, I think to myself, may I move with grace, notice beauty, create joy, breathe in oxygen from the trees, breathe out carbon dioxide for the trees. All is one.
Share your second piece.
The second one is a Sabbath walking prayer, like we're saying on Saturday, because we read a book in the study group called The Sabbath, and by Herschel, and this was inspired by that book and defining what the Sabbath meant to me and how you could also create a sacred space if you're not in synagogue. So this one goes like this. Walking in the footsteps of time eternal, may each footfall root my body, calling my soul. May each breath a bellow stoke its embers, warming my soul. Walking in the footsteps of time eternal, may awe, love, and wonder fill my soul, shining as I go.
Nice.
Thank you, Amy, so much. And I think what I love about these pieces is the aspect of nature that you bring into it, and that, you know, you put us right in community with nature and bring nature into the web of life, without which we couldn't exist. And so to me, that really personally means a lot, because one of the things during COVID that I've come to appreciate is walking in nature. You're looking at the biggest couch potato that there ever was. And I, in pandemic, have started, you know, over the past year or so, to actually go out every day and walk. And someone who wouldn't leave the house if it's below, like, you know, 40 to 50 degrees, this is me. I'm now lamenting the fact that, you know, if it's in the 20s, it's really just too cold today to go out. But I try to get out and get in nature every day. And part of that is knowing you, Amy, and being inspired by the work that you've done. So thank you so much for your gift. To me, I can personally thank you for that, and for your beautiful contributions to the book. Thank you. And more with Amy later, and we're going to move forward, and I'm going to welcome Cantor Lois Kittner, because she's next. And we had a request. Okay, hold up, folks, 1 second. We had a very special request. Is he in, Amy?
Yes. I think so.
Amy's dad just logged in. He's in Florida, isn't he? Is he back home? And he missed the reading. So since they were short, I'm going to ask her to please reread so that your dad can hear.
Okay. The first one is my walking prayer, and it goes like this. May I move with grace, notice beauty, create joy, breathe in the oxygen from the trees, breathe out carbon dioxide for the trees. All is one. That's one. This is the Sabbath prayer. So when I'm saying the Sabbath prayer, just imagine that you're walking on the sidewalk and you can really feel your footsteps as they hit the ground. And that gives a cadence for the prayer. Walking in the footsteps of time eternal, may each footfall root my body, calling my soul. May each breath a bellow, stoke its embers, warming my soul. Walking in the footsteps of time eternal, may awe, love, and wonder fill my soul, shining as I go.
Thank you, Amy. As you read them the second time, I actually could feel my footsteps. So that was very inspiring. And I'm so glad your dad is here tonight to hear you read that.
Me too.
That's wonderful. That's just awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me read them again, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Thanks.
Quite all right. Cantor Lois, we're moving on to you. Okay, let me give a little bit of background from your bio in the book. And she is a former New York City cabaret performer who brings her passion for singing and interpretation of song to her prayer. For over 20 years, Cantor Lois has been writing poetry and composing songs for Jewish prayer And her podcast, Conversations with Cantor Lois, centers on the importance of meaningful personal ritual in people's lives. And I have listened to some of her podcasts, which are just really inspiring and very meaningful. And I must thank you personally for the beautiful healing prayer that you shared with me and Neil, which we use at our services weekly, crediting you as we post your prayer on
I'm so
the
glad. Thank
Zoom
you.
screen. So I'm going to turn this over to you, and Cantor Lois submitted 2 pieces to the book, and I asked her, I love one of them just so much. It just spoke to me for this particular event. And this is called Tell Me Again. So I asked her if she would share that one with us tonight. And it's long, so read slow.
And you had asked me, Deb, to talk a little bit about what was
Yes, what
going
inspired
on
you.
when I wrote it. And, I'm very present moment, as you know. So I had to go back into my Dropbox and find where I had originally, put the prayer or the piece. And thank goodness I dated it, because I wouldn't have remembered when I had written it. And it was May 13th, 2020. And if we just think back, the last time I had been in the synagogue was right after Erev Purim. And here it was only mid-May, and we were already dealing with a number of B'nai Mitzvah that had been either delayed or pushed back or only Zoom. And there were burials that had to be done, and we were terrified. We weren't just scared. It was way pre-vaccine. Every time I recited a prayer or even just had my own personal conversation with God, I was saying, I know that you brought humankind this far. This is going to change. We're in this part of it now. And I, like you were saying before, I kept on thinking, when I'm leading services from my office at home, this is my sanctuary. It doesn't have to be in a particular building for holiness to be flowing through. One hopes that it's in each of us. I believe it is in each of us, and sometimes we don't, realize it or to tune into it. But I couldn't help but imagine being Bamidbar in the desert as as in the Torah. And what were they thinking? And how different is it? How similar is it for us in this day and age? So this is from May 13th, 2020. Tell me again. Tell me again how it will be all right. Tell me again how this won't last forever. Tell me again that we have what we need and we're doing just fine. Tell me again that the future is not never. My faith has not left me, and my love still burns strong. My heart is exhausted and hurts all night long. We want this to move on, to just disappear. And I hear needy voices filled with frustration and fear. I really do believe in miracles. And I also see facts. They aren't mutually exclusive, so it's hard to relax. I can listen to your stories and try to soften your fears. But I can't change these times we're in, nor hasten the years. How did we get here? How fast did things change? Those are questions for others, while we all rearrange our hopes and our dreams and our wants from our needs. But with love and compassion, we'll walk through these weeds. The desert we wander has no other side. We wander together and toughen our hides. We bicker and argue and look for the way. Then remember, it's deep down inside us. And there's nothing to say.
Thank you. And you'll have an opportunity to direct questions and comments at the end. So I want to go forward. Yeah, I know you're getting a heart from Jean Marie. She just gave you a heart and I gave you one of these. So thank you. That was so beautifully read as well. Thank you so much. I think my third presenter, I don't see her name and I didn't see her admitted unless she's on someone else's iPad. Marilyn, if you're here, this is the time to speak. Okay. Okay. So your iPad says Maggie. So that's why I'm confused. Okay. Okay, wait a second. You're muted also. So hang on one second.
Yes, it's confusing. That's the name my friends and family use.
Okay, so I want to do a little introduction and welcome you. And so you were on right from the beginning, but I didn't know who you were because your name was not your name. So I'd like to welcome Marilyn Moore, who is the author of 2 volumes of poetry. And one is called Satchel and the other Running the Track. And she's been published in many magazines and anthologies and has performed her work on radio and television. So you're multimedia, which is very exciting for us. And she has recent work. She has a lot of credits to her name. Her recent work can be seen in the Patterson Literary Review, Poets on the Verge, and Lips magazine. She's a native New Yorker who lived in Woodstock, where she was co-editor of the Woodstock Poetry Review and the Catskill Poets series. She was coordinator of the Poets Forum at the JCC of Metro West, I guess it's Metropolitan New Jersey, and lives in West Orange. We could meet for tea. That's how close, yeah, because I'm in Parsippany. So it's really wonderful to welcome you. And you also have 2 lovely pieces in the book, and I'm wondering which one you would like to choose for us to read tonight and how you came to create it.
I'm going to read the older poem. The other one, Sing My Prayer, is new and part of my spiritual journey.
Okay.
And So I Am Called Bubby is assertion of my identity.
Okay, and everyone just knows what Bubby is like grandma.
Bubby is grandmother. I'm one of the few people I know who am called Bubby. And I insisted on that name, and the story is in the poem, and I will share it with you.
It's great. Enjoy, everybody.
And so I am called Bubby. Old-fashioned, some say, with noses as scrunched up as the babushkas they imagine me in. My sister is also called Bubby. Together, we are the Bubby twins. I take this name as I bow at the altar of Jewish women who went before me, who cooked and mended, sang and prayed from Poland to the Lower East Side, many of whom never lived to hear the title, including my own mother, and a whole generation of European women. When I hear them call me, music and laughter bubble through my corpulent self, and I feel light as a party balloon, ready to float and play Sasha and Zoe's Bubby Maggie.
That has your name in it at the very last. That is just so lovely. So lovely and so fitting for
Thank you.
tonight. When we first got on, I don't know if you were on when Jean Marie and I were talking, and she showed me a picture of her little grandchild, like Brandy knew, real, and she said, she was referring to herself as Nana. And I said, oh, my grandmother was Nana. That's what we used to call her. And then she said in her faith tradition, it was really Nanny, right? That you said it was, but that somehow you evolved to Nana, and that seems to be what's sticking. But it's just so interesting that every tradition has its names for special people in the generation. So Shabia, I have to ask you, what's grandma or granny or whatever in the Islam in language or in the Muslim faith? What is the name? Do you have one?
Well, my kids call my mom Nani, and they call their dad's mom Dadi. So it just depends on, if it's your mom's mom or your dad's mom. But yeah, my mom's on here. Her name's Pamela, and she's known as Nani.
Now I know, Pam, the secret is out. Thank you, B. I appreciate that, because I think it does vary, and it's just very interesting. There's always like a pet name that goes with it. And I love your story, Maggie, so I'll call you, but your story is lovely, and your tradition and your legacy of writing is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing in the book, both of your pieces, and I love them both, and for sharing with us tonight as well.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Susanna Rich, because I'm going in alphabetical order, just in case anyone wondered why I'm going this way. And I'd like to tell you about Susanna, and she said she's going to sing her contribution. So this will be very interesting. So Susanna is an Emmy Award nominee, Fulbright Scholar, and recipient of the Presidential Excellence Award for Distinguished Teaching at Kane University. As founding producer of Wild Nights Productions, Susanna wrote and performs in her musical Shakespeare's Itches, The Women versus Will, Ashes, Ashes. A Poet Responds to the Holocaust, Television, Daddy, and Shout, Poetry for Women's Rights, celebrating the centennial of the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. And she is author of several poetry collections, Beware the House, Surfing for Jesus, The Drive Home, Television, Daddy, and with Don Fast, who give us a wave, Don is on the screen, recorded the music for Shakespeare's Itches. So I'm overwhelmed. I must say, I have such an illustrious gathering of contributors. I'm almost breathless at this point. And Susanna, take it away. Tell us what inspired it, and we'll listen.
I seem very confident, but it's right above a real vulnerability and scared all the time. And I was in a songwriting workshop, and I was feeling very, very fragile. And I went back to my room, and this song came out. And then when Donnie and I were recording Shakespeare's Itches, I gave this song to Isabella in Measure for Measure. She is a nun who is being asked to make impossible choices. And so I think all of us are being especially now made to make impossible choices. And so I would like for all of you to sing the chorus. I'll put my hand up here, in your own square. And this chorus is very simple. And if I get misty, it's because I'm so grateful. And my heart feels so open from all of you, and especially Amy. You'll hear my love for nature in here.
So before you start, Jean Marie, if they should remain muted, otherwise it will be a cacophony. So everyone will sing in their room. And
yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
And if you didn't, with me, that would be okay. Because we all have a cacophony of feelings, and it'll break through. So here it is. And Cantor, Lois, I hope I'm singing all right. There's that vulnerability. And Donnie, again, Don is absolutely crucial to this work. He arranged the music, and he is my brother and my nephew and my friend. I'm enough for the trees, they want to shade me with their leaves. I'm enough for the air, it waits for my inhale. I'm enough for the sky to shine me suns and moons and stars. I'm enough for the sea spreading roughly skirts for me. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough as I am. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough for them. When I'm not feeling very young and I'm lost among the throng, I break out of the line to remember all that's mine. I'm enough for the birds who don't need any words. I'm enough for their songs that tell me I belong, because I'm enough. I'm enough, I'm enough as I am. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough for them. So I walk like Amy among the trees, and in and out the breeze. I walk along the shore lit by suns and moons and stars. And when words betray me and babble wrongs and rights, I open my hands and raise my eyes to gather this paradise of you. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough as I am. I'm enough, for I see I'm enough for me.
How lovely, how lovely. That's just, that says it all. How gracious, how beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. And you have a lovely voice. Thank you very, very much. And you'll have a chance to talk more with Susanna when we go to the questions and comments. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to my co-teacher, my co-leader, and my friend, my sister, Shabia Sheikh. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about her and her background. I talked a little bit about her at the beginning. She is an American Muslim who graduated from Rutgers University with a doctorate in pharmacy. And she is and I will add, very serious student of Islam and co-leader with me of the Morris County 1 chapter of the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom. She is an aspiring, and I think more than aspiring, you have arrived, interfaith leader among aiming to promote tolerance and understanding across all faiths in her local community. And I will add beyond that, because when we have hit Zoom together, we have gone national through the programs that we've been doing through Aleph, the Alliance for Jewish Renewal. And I welcome you to talk a little bit about what inspired you. Your piece is spectacular. It's beyond spectacular. I just love it. So please.
Hi, everybody. I just want to greet everybody with peace. Salam and shalom. So I am going to try to stop my cat from walking into the camera. So I'm a pharmacist, and I was working with the Veterans Home at Menlo Park in New Jersey during COVID. And during that time, I can identify with Cantor Lois, because we witnessed a lot of loss. But during that time, I listened to a lot of Quran, which was very healing for me. And that's why I wrote this this poem that was inspired by some of the healing verses from the Quran. So I started it with one of them. It's from the chapter called the Bee, which is chapter 16 in the Quran, and it's part of a verse 69. And this is just the translation. There issues from within the bodies of the bee a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for mankind. And then I'm going to read the poem for you now. And at the end, I just close it with another one of the healing verses from struggle to comprehend the destruction that an invisible thing could cause on this earth. A tiny nothing that fractured people, kept us apart when we didn't want to be, and drove us apart when sadly we did. And it took me a while in all my chaos and the chaos of the world to realize one small thing. That as much as we detest and fear the sting of a bee, the sweet healing of its honey is incomparable. Relief, to reflect on a calamity and see how far we've come, blinds me with tears. For his healing is there in all its varying shades for all humanity. And this closing verse is from chapter 26 of the Quran called The Poets. And when I am ill, it is he who cures me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Our next presenter is Virginia Smilak, who has a prayer to contribute. She's a former teacher of special needs students and a former computer programmer at a large insurance company. And she has dedicated her work, and many of us have actually heard her speak, and she's taught us recently in our racial justice learning circle about the civil rights field, specifically in the area of school integration in Delaware. She's a wife, mother, and grandmother of twins. So please share with us and give us a little background on your piece. And you need to unmute.
Well, like many of us through this time, it would sit with me. I mean, I could get through my day and I'd do the things I needed to do. But when I've gotten to bed at night, I couldn't turn the thoughts and the feelings off. And not only did I think about everything that was going on in the world, from COVID to famine to war and everything else, and then of course the mind wanders and you think of something you did wrong when you were 10 years old and how do you change that? And I couldn't get my mind to turn off and I wasn't getting any sleep. So I thought about it and I prayed and I thought, and this is what came out of that quandary. Listen to hear the Eternal One. Noise and pain fill the world and surround me. I cannot turn it off. I cannot change it. How can I hear your voice, Eternal One? Perhaps I can hear you in the quiet of the night. Yet late at night, the pain of life haunts me. Eternal One, please help me to release these negative thoughts and turn instead to the many moments of joy and love that has filled my life. Eternal One, help me to feel your love for all. Let that love work through me so that I and others may heal. Let me take those precious moments when there is quiet and let my mind and body rest, perhaps even my soul. I listen for you, my Eternal One. Fill me with your love so that I can listen to others with love and patience and kindness. Perhaps that's all I can do. Listen to others with love.
Thank you so much. Before we open for questions, comments, or anything, I'll share one of the pieces I submitted to the book. I feel I would be remiss if I didn't share one of my own. And the piece that I'll share with you is called Your Ever Presence. And it speaks to my faith in the eternal higher power of the universe. Eternal One, more than ever, I sense your presence. You are there in my prayers, in my songs, in my joy, in my trials. I reach out to you. I meet you in conversation. I begin each day and each night with you. You are there as you have never been before. You are there as you have always been before. You are my steady heartbeat. You are my eternal blessing. Thank you for the heart, Susanna. Thank you. And Norma, thank you. So we open it up for questions, comments, and just some discussion. And really each piece was unique and each piece really reflected the contributor. And everyone was so different. Everyone's backgrounds and spiritual paths are so different, just like the conglomeration of people we are this evening. So if you have a comment and would like to speak, just if you could raise your hand and then unmute. Anything you would like to say is risked for conversation, or even if you just want to comment on any of the pieces, please make the program a success by commenting. Rosalie, please unmute.
I just want to thank each and every one of you. I'm so in awe of you, and I have to read the book. Now, I have a question for Jean Marie. Does the library have the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get online. I mean, they were all so wonderful, and I can't begin to tell you, I have had such a bad, like everybody else, but you ladies have really put me at peace tonight, and I want to thank you so much.
Actually, Ms. Kesselman, both of Rabbi Deb's books can be found at the Parsippany Library.
All right, well, after this program is over, I'm getting back. Now that I have learned how to get on your new system, I will be on it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Marilyn, go ahead.
Yes, I equally am impressed by everybody and anybody who can write things so beautifully. And I've been wasting my time trying to go to sleep without thinking up a poem like Ginny did while she's, trying to go to sleep. I'll try to do better. I have a question for Rabbi Deb.
Yeah.
And the question was asked to me by Sister Eleanor Francis. It was before I had my book. Did she address it with you yet? About what is on the cover and on every page?
What is on the cover and every page? My nephew, Isaac Desautel, is an amazing amateur photographer. He works in business. He's not a photographer, and has thousands of pictures up on his, whatever his Instagram page, I think is where they are. And this is a picture called Antelope Canyon 2. Now, interestingly enough, he does a lot of hiking and outdoor stuff. He lives up in, I think he lives in Portland now. And he takes pictures of places he's been. I looked at it and I just liked it. I mean, I loved it. And the person who did my graphic design, she was like, Deb, we have to use this. And I said, don't you think it's kind of dark, because it was a black background? And she was, no, it's going to look perfect on the book. So I showed the book cover to my daughters, and they, one of them lived more out west than the other one, who lives in Brooklyn, who clearly is not living out west. And my older daughter looked and she goes, oh, that's Antelope Canyon 2. Like you would look at something and say, oh, well, that's, such and such. So apparently it's, it's a picture that she recognized because she has, I guess, hiked there. So that's what that picture is. And, it's a canyon. And if you think about a canyon, there's a crevice there. And so I'll say no more. Any other comments? Susanna, please.
I would love to continue what you just started about the cover, because there seems to be a fracturing here. And because of the colors, it brings, the human body in. And then look at this shaft of light coming through. And, whatever your faith is, or isn't it? I mean, light to us is life. So I think it's a beautiful metaphor for the book.
So I thank you. And if you're not into poetry, I encourage you to purchase the book for the cover. You could frame it, use it as a photograph in your living room or something. So I will put in the chat as people are talking. The book is $15. It includes the postage and handling of the book. So it's really, it's asking for a $15 donation. The book was self-published, and any donations that people would make to contribute toward this would be much appreciated and valued, and you get a copy of the book. So I'll put that how you can get it. The only way you can get this book is through me. You need to contact me through my email, and then I'll tell you how you can make a purchase with a personal check or on Zelle or PayPal. So I'll do that now, but I would like to continue the conversation going. So people who have comments or questions or anything, please just raise your hand and jump in while I do this. Jean Marie, maybe you can call on people while I write this information in the chat.
Yes.
Because I cannot walk and chew gum at once, so.
I know that Sabia, did I say that correctly?
Shabiha.
Sabiha. Okay, I know she had a comment or a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on Marilyn or Maggie's poem. I just found it so much fun, and this is kind of weird, but I call my son Bubby sometimes. His name is Abdullah, but I always find that just saying Bubby is very fun and positive. So I just love that this is in here, and you can kind of feel it with the imagery with the party balloon ready to float and play, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bubbala is a Yiddish word that's an endearment, and it's used in Yiddish as well, like Bubba or Bubbala. When you're talking to someone, it's a sweet way of addressing people as well.
It spans the traditions there.
Yes. Ms. Kesselman has a, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I think I cut somebody off in my,
I'm named after my Bubba's grandmother, Bubba's Bubba. So she used to call me Bubbala. Because I was a little, to her, a little grandma. So when I heard that poem, it really touched me. And when my first grandchild was born, my son said to me, "Do you mind if they call you Sapta and Daddy Saba?" And I just looked at him and I said, "They can call me anything they want, just call me."
Yeah, I just again posted this. It's hineni77@gmail.com. That is my email. That is the only correct email that's been posted, is the one I just posted here. And that the one I originally posted, not the one that says correction, because that doesn't have the right email address. hineni77@gmail.com.
And if for some reason you lose that, you can always call the Parsippany Library and ask for Jean Marie, and I will connect you with Rabbi Deb. So
yeah, I just don't want to put my phone number in the chat because I was told that was not a smart thing to do.
No.
So yeah. Other comments, feedback,
I have a
conversation?
question.
Yeah.
I have a question. How did, Rabbi Deb, this is kind of for you and the presenters here today, how did the five of you get together? How did this come to fruition?
Well, I put out a call for submissions, and I put it out through a lot of different channels, through the Women Cantors Network, through the Rabbinical Association, through people I knew, just asking people if they knew anyone. And it was very challenging to get submissions because people do not just easily do this. And, I connected with Cantor Lois. I know her personally, and she helped me connect with the Women Cantors Network. I knew Don Fast for many years. He connected me with Susanna. Shabia, obviously, I have a connection to. And Amy Fisher, I know from, she's a student of mine in my class. But when I look, and I know Virginia also, personally. So Marilyn, I'm trying to think of how you found me or I found you. Do you
I think
remember?
with Susanna. Susanna sent and forwarded your, I believe, right, Susanna?
Oh, yes, we are, Maggie and I are poetry buddies now, what, 30 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a wonderful connection you made for us. And I hope that,
really appreciate it. It's a beautiful volume. It's lovely.
thank you. I hope you'll stay connected and wait for my call for submissions for the third volume that's coming up, which will close out the portfolio series of Hearts, the Hearts series.
While I'm unmuted, I just want to tell Sabia that I loved her poem. And I don't know, I haven't had much contact with work from the Quran. And this was really very opening for me. I really, truly appreciated this. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love the way you bookended it at either end with a quote from the Quran. It just was so spectacular that way. What a container your prayer has for being held on both sides with the prayers from the Quran. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Don,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I just want to say that all the presentations tonight were really, really awesome. Nice variety, and the readings and the singing was really great. If any of the poets online want to comment about anything that they're currently working on and what they're looking for the future, we talked about past inspirations, but are there things that you see going forward that we should keep an eye out from new creativity from all of you?
Yeah, anybody, any of you? Susanna, go for it.
I have a very long story. I will make it brief. Donnie and I collaborated. I have a program called Ashes, Ashes, a Poet Response to the Shoah. And I was raised as a Catholic, and my father was a staunch Holocaust denier. He was part of the Hungarian government during the deportation. And I am now, I have completed 3 drafts of a poetry book where I am exploring and trying to bring healing to this man. He's gone, but that level of denial, that level of guilt, and that complicity. And so I am working very hard to heal my DNA by writing this book.
Suzanne,
Go ahead, Don.
I was going to say, Susanna and I have had some really, really meaningful conversations about this, and I thank you so much for sharing that. It takes a lot of courage to face these things. So
I agree. A lot of courage. Absolutely.
Donnie, you are so important in my process. I can't even start. He sent me the Yom Kippur Prayer, and I was like crying. And so, okay, that's enough out of me.
But it's very interesting that you share that about that work, because last week I got a phone call from the middle of nowhere from someone who said, I'm your relative and you have never heard from me. I mean, I didn't know this guy from Adam. I seriously had no idea who he was, didn't recognize his last name, nothing. And he said, I'd like to invite you to a family Zoom call on Sunday. And some people on the Zoom know that I did go to this family Zoom call and met probably 25 of my relatives that are my contemporaries within, maybe 2 or 3 years or whatever. And so they're talking, and I know that part of the family are Holocaust survivors. And I shared with him that when his parents came up to meet, to visit their relatives, my grandmother was living downstairs, and the whole family's from Hungary, my whole family on my dad's side. So and they're coming in, I'm a little kid, I'm like 8 years old, and I see that these people have numbers on their arms, right? And I ask, like, what is that? I mean, wouldn't you, And my parents say to me, come on, we're going downstairs. They don't say anything to me. They don't tell me anything, nothing. Meanwhile, I learn on this call on Sunday that like half my family from this section of the family, they perished in Auschwitz. They were in Bergen-Belsen. Some of them survived, and they're telling me the stories of this. I mean, I couldn't think straight for like 2 days. I just was like, really? I mean, I knew my family was from Hungary, and they spoke Hungarian, and I wrote a chapter in a book about Hungarian families that I was asked to do in the textbook. And here, you find this out. So I'm just thinking of that when you were sharing thank you for sharing that. That's a very courageous thing to share. So thank you. Other people that have comments or anything before we close and we wind up for the evening?
I just wanted to tell you quickly, Rabbi, that I have a similar story with my family. And we had a whole branch of family in Paris. My father was born in Poland, and his brother and he emigrated at the same time. His brother wound up in Paris with 6 children there. We were told, my grandfather was told at the end of the war that they were all murdered. And so my grandfather went to his grave grieving his brother and his brother's whole family. In the mid-1960s, late 1960s, we get a call from a woman with a French accent. She says she's looking for her American cousins.
Oh, wow.
Turned out that some of the family survived. And we have a close relationship with them. My son lived with them in France for
amazing.
months. So these, miracles do happen, I guess,
It's very interesting and very apropos.
Use a brand.
Here you tell us about miracles and hope, and that's our theme for tonight. And
Right.
just sort of took it full circle for us. And I really thank you for that. That's an amazing, just an amazing story.
Yeah.
I have to research my roots now, Marilyn, to start looking to see. Rosalie?
I don't know if you remember me, but you and I have met at several Holocaust presentations. And I have done I haven't done any work for the last 2 years, but anytime that I talk to a group, I always say to them, you can't make this stuff up. The stories of survival and, people's resilience is just absolutely incredible. And when I hear stories like this, it gives me the chills, because I know you can't make this stuff up. It is just amazing.
That's
and
true.
I want to thank all of you, because this has been a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Jean Marie, someone texted me privately, where will the recording be and how can they
It will be
access
on the Parsippany YouTube. So what you're going to look for when you go on YouTube is Parsippany Troy Hills. Oh, does it say that on it? Look for the Parsippany Library YouTube channel. You should be able to find it. Shouldn't be an issue. We had some rebranding that took place, but I can't remember how much we got in there on the rebranding, because you can only do it so far. But it's the Parsippany YouTube channel, Parsippany Library. If anyone has any problems finding it, please feel free to call the library, and I will be more than glad to help you out with that. I could probably even send the link to you, Rabbi Deb, and then you can pass it on.
Okay, that would be
I'm
great.
wondering if I could just ask a slight favor. I know that this has been very healing and a little bit emotional for me, surprisingly enough. So I'm wondering if we could close this with a prayer. Would that be possible? I don't know. You decide who gives it, not me. But
Okay.
I would really appreciate that if that is okay with everyone.
I'll close us out with a prayer. And before I do, I would like to particularly thank my presenters who gave their evening to come and do this. Know that you are not done. I will be calling on you again, because we're on the lecture circuit now, and I'll be looking for volunteers, because there are other groups that I'm going to try to connect with. I would like your words to be heard by as many places as possible. And so if you know any groups that might be interested in a book presentation like this, please keep us in mind and reach out to me. And I thank you so much, everybody, for coming to make the evening such a success this evening. Thank you so much, Jean Marie, for hosting and encouraging us to go forward with the program and, and to bring it out to the public. So I'll close us out with a prayer. And then, and again, the contact for the book is in the chat, hineni77@gmail.com. And I will close us out with a prayer that I wrote called Guide Me. Breath of all life, gift me with courage to listen to the beat of my heart. Bless me to live that strong rhythm. May the pulse of grace and compassion be my North Star and guide me for life. Amen. May it be so.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Be well.
everyone. Please be careful out there tomorrow and Friday. And everyone take good care of yourselves.
Thank you again so much. Good night, everybody. Be well.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
So
Thank
long,
you.
farewell.
Avidas and adieu, adieu, adieu to you and you and
Stay
you.
well.
Do, 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 do. Sorry.
That was great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Night.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Donnie. Bye, Maggie.
Bye,
Jean.
Susanna.
Bye, ladies.
Pamela.
Good night.